we'll get into the case study as to what is the benefit of properly using an Eyelet that we've called out here. So take the scenario of Jack's a single father, lives in New York. He wants to pass on as much as possible to his kids and expects to fully use up his lifetime gift exemption with other assets and other gifts to his kids and grandchildren. So he's taking out a $6 million term life policy with about $35,000 of annual premiums. So really kind of two scenarios of he can own the policy himself, or he sets up an Islet and has the Islet own the policy. So let's assume he passes away during this term. If he doesn't pass away, there's no financial implications here. But if he does pass away during the term, that $6 million policy does pay out. And even though that's the same life insurance policy that pays out the same $6 million, there's very different financial implications for Jack's estate and his kids based on whether or not he owns it or his Islet owns it. And maybe Peter, want to walk through kind of what happens in the scenario where Jack owns it versus the Islet owns a policy?
Yeah. So New York has its own estate tax. And so the effective New York/federal estate tax rate is almost 50%, 49.6%. And so what happens in this example is if Jack owns the policy personally, he's going to be over the exemption amount. So half of that $6 million death benefit is actually going to be basically for the government, and half is going to be for his kids, which is obviously not ideal. If he set up the Islet, it had the Islet on the policy instead of himself personally, then the full $6 million would be outside of his estate, and that $6 million would go into the trust for the benefit of his kids. So it's 100% return, $3 million versus $6 million.
Yeah. And this is really the value of one is how do you use the Eyelet to get outside of your estate and then really using those annual exclusions. And this is where, it may seem small, whether you put it in the Eyelet or not, or use your annual exclusions, but it really does add up over time. With almost everything financial, it always comes down to compounding, and these things do compound to get a really significant, in this case, $3 million or 2x difference.
Thank you.